Okay guys, I'm gonna give you another raw, unedited vlog about all about the buying process. So whether you're a buyer's agent or buying, you should probably listen up. So number one is if you're going into showings and you have other agents that are showing, I would not advise you to go in. So as like, for instance, I'm in with my client showing the property and another agent pops in, and mind you, I'm in my time frame of what I've scheduled for my client to see, and the agent proceeds to come in and say, hey, can we just pop in? I want my client to see it. And I'm like, awkward. Like, I feel like that's a disservice to me and my client, and a disservice to you and your client, because you're not giving them the proper time to look at the house by themselves. So I would really not recommend that. My client didn't care. I let her pop in really quickly, but I think that was very, like, I wouldn't do that. And that's just me. That's how I run my business. And again, everything I say is how I do things, or like what I see. And it's just, I think it's unprofessional, in my opinion. Like, I don't know. So at the same time, like, just be wary of, just be wary of other people's time and your client's time. And of course, your time, because that also takes away from your client's experience on top of that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I know I did a video all about it, so I will have it somewhere up there, talking about why it's important to have that game plan, have it set before you guys even start looking to buy. In the heat of the moment, your client can be like, you know what, I've been looking for a while, or you know what, this is just the one, whatever the situation is, and they can definitely get in a competitive stance, or in a, well, it's the market, so I'm just going to throw everything at this. This is why it's so important to have those conversations and understand exactly what your client's needing, what your client is, can do, and so forth. So always have that in the back of the mind when you're doing your showings, or whether you're a buyer, like you're helping your buyer, or if you're a buyer, just keeping those little things in your forefront on what are those deal breakers, what are those things that are super important to you. Now for me, as the agent on the buy side, I am always listening more than anything to what my client's saying. I'm trying not to put in my 2 cents unless they actually will ask me things, or if it's pertaining to the property on a financial state, as in like, do you think it's worth this, or what are the comps, or is there a garage, or what's the square footage, when was it built, yada yada. So I always listen and write it down for them so that we can circle back, especially if we're seeing multiple properties in one day. Now, I know in this market, it's hard to say, hey, don't see more than this amount, or don't see that. But if you're seeing more than one, having that, write it down for your client, or have your client write it down, however you guys want to do it, because you don't want to go to the next property and be like, well, I don't remember. What was that one? Like, I can't remember if I liked it, Just write it down. Shut your mouth and listen to your client. Write it down. So if you're the agent, do that. If you're the buyer, you guys need to figure this out. This is why it's so important. Another thing I want to say is, just because we're sitting in this seller's market does not mean that it doesn't mean that you cannot ask questions, or your client can't ask, well, you know what, the floor is a little weird right here. What's that from? Or maybe the ceiling has some moisture spots, or they're concerned with something in that manner. Just because it's a seller's market doesn't mean that your buyer and yourself do not have the right to call the agent and ask them. Look it up. See if they have their supplementals, what's in their supplementals, if they have stuff in there, the seller's SPD, okay to ask. Another thing why I'm bringing this up is because I'm at a showing with multiple agents and we're all waiting our turn, and I can hear the conversation from the agent and his client standing over here, and he's basically advising his client not to say anything. Like, if you really want to get it, just, you know, do it in inspection or do it at like, I don't want to bother the agent with that. I personally would not advise that to my client. Again, everybody runs their business differently. I'm sure there's people, you know, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm just saying it because this is what I would not do. I always ask questions. If my client is concerned about something, I will ask. Like, there should be, just because it doesn't matter what market you're in, seller's market, buyer's market, whatever. If your client's concerned about something or would like to know more, it does not hurt to ask. The worst that can happen is the agent will say, I don't have time to answer these questions. We'll look at the SBD. If it's not in their supplementals, they'll say, hey, when you go under contract, you can look at it. Whatever. The worst thing to do, I think, is just to let them sitting there thinking, oh gosh, like, I can't even get this answered, you know, I don't know. And then them stressing about it during the process, or if you have inspection come in and then the inspector's like, oh yeah, like, this is not okay, like, this is whatever the case may be, and then you're stuck in that state of where you could have been prevented had you just asked. So yeah, I just want to point that out there. And yeah, I think those are the main points that I just wanted to push out from experiences. Again, I know I've said this multiple times. Everyone runs their business differently. Everyone handles situations differently. And I think just setting yourself up for success and then doing the things that, because every client's different also. So again, it goes right back to having these conversations prior to even looking, so you know where your client's at. Oh, and the last thing I do want to say is, on top of that is expectations of, like, let's say your client travels for work. And when I mean travels, I mean they have a location that, it's not like a different location every day. It's like a specific location that they need to go to Monday through Friday, is pointing out where major highways are at the property that, like, let's say they fall in love with this property and you're like, okay, well, where's a major highway? How long? Like, did you Google it? Like, how long is it going to take you to get to work? Those are factors that I would assume would be on the forefront. Like, let's say for, like, one of my clients, that definitely is a factor. So every property that we go into where my client's like, oh my gosh, I want to put in an offer, I'm like, cool, let's start checking out the boxes of things that I know that are important to you. And location, major highways, like, how far is it from your work? These are all things that you specified that were important. So let's just run the numbers real quick, and I can get it done before even leaving the property. So that's the thing I want to say. And then, of course, it's hard, I know, especially if you're in a property that you love or your client's like, oh my gosh, just oozing over, is don't forget to never discuss anything inside the property. If there's other agents around, I will grab my client, we'll go sit in the car, or we'll go somewhere else. I do not talk around other agents and their clients, and I absolutely try to get my clients not to say too much when we're in the property in those regards. So those are just things to remember. Again, if you're a buyer's agent or if you're a buyer, like, these are things to think about. If you're like, oh, you know what, that is important to me, and my agent hasn't brought that up to me, like, just something you can throw at them too, and just let them know that this is something that you think is important. So anyways, that was my rant for today's video. This isn't going to be edited. Again, I've gotten some really good feedback on my vlog, so I'm super happy that you guys are getting some value and you're getting some information that's helpful. And this is just me. So I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and don't forget to like and subscribe on my channel. You guys follow me on TikTok. I do a lot on TikTok as well. Of course, I'm all over social media. And if I don't see you guys driving around Denver, I'll definitely see you on my next video. Bye.